Last year, we brought you a comparison test between the all-new 2014 Corolla and the revised 2013 Civic.
At the time, you were quick to point out that Honda was about to release an updated version of the Civic yet again. So we decided to put them back together for a rematch.
This time, they are both 2014 models, and this time they both have CVTs. Our Corolla, once again, is the fully loaded S model. It features a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine much like the Civic, but unlike the Honda, it only makes 132 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque. Available with a 6-speed manual transmission, our test vehicle has the more popular CVT automatic. Fuel economy is officially rated at 29 miles per gallon in the city and 38 miles per gallon on the highway. These numbers are a bit lower than the Civic, but in real-world testing, the two cars are dead even at 32.7 miles per gallon. The Corolla's biggest edge comes in price. Starting at $17,160, our Corolla is $1,500 cheaper than the base Civic, and it keeps this advantage all the way up to our loaded S model's price of $23,570.
For 2014, the Civic keeps its 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine, although it gets a mild power upgrade to 143 horsepower and 129 pound-feet of torque. But the big mechanical change for 2014 is that Honda scrapped the traditional automatic in favor of a CVT. Now that raises fuel economy to a claimed 30 miles per gallon in the city or 39 on the highway. However, in the real world, Mike and I are tied in a dead heat with the same average fuel consumption. The Civic starts at about 19 grand, although our fully loaded EXL with navigation model costs about 25,000 bucks.
The updated Civic still trails the Corolla when it comes to the interior. Let's forget for a second the better design and the higher quality materials found in here. It's all about space. The rear seat of the Corolla offers 41.4 inches of rear legroom. That's 5 inches more than the Civic. And in the trunk, it's the same story. There's a half cubic foot more space in the Corolla. The Corolla may be missing some of the Civic's fancier technology like the lane watch camera, but it has all the options I could want. It has satellite radio, navigation, LED headlights, and Bluetooth connectivity. Best of all, there are actual hard buttons here. Call me old, but I cannot stand the 100% touchscreen interface that the new Civic has. So basically, the Corolla can carry around 3 friends in comfort, and they can actually figure out how to change the radio station. The only real downside in here is the telescopic steering wheel, which I find doesn't pull out far enough.
Okay, hold on a second, because Mike just went on a tear trying to make this sound like it's a one-sided battle favoring the Corolla. But if you ask me, it's the stuff you can't see on the spec sheets that makes the Civic the better of the two cars, at least in my opinion. I'll give you an example. Mike says that the Corolla has all of the technology you need, and while he might be right, what about the technology you want? I'll give you another example. Honda added its lane watch technology for the 2014 model year that it first introduced on the Accord. They put a camera in the right side view mirror, and when you push this button on the turn signal stalk, you actually get a view of the side of the car right here on the screen that provides a wider angle than the mirror itself can offer. In fact, several automakers are currently petitioning the US government to be able to replace side view mirrors altogether with cameras. Sounds like Honda's ahead of the game. And it doesn't stop there, because you also get Honda's new display audio infotainment system. It's kind of a complicated thing to explain, but basically you're able to plug your smartphone in beneath the screen and connect it to be able to access certain apps. The list is limited for now, but the most important one you can get your hands on is a navigation app that comes directly from Honda. It costs $60, and it actually ports your iPhone's power right onto the screen and gives you navigation. So the Navigation EXL model that we have here isn't actually necessary if you want to get Navi. Now, it's worth keeping in mind that currently the only phone compatible with that is the iPhone 5, but Honda does tell us that Android phones will be compatible very soon. Mike said a little bit earlier that he might be getting old, and honestly, I think that might be the case, because he's talking about how there aren't any buttons here. Let's be honest, there's a power button, there's an eject button, there's a brightness button, although I will admit that having to go through this OLED touch system to adjust the volume is kind of a hassle, but then again, you do have physical buttons right there on the steering wheel.
Like pretty much everything else in this comparison, Luke and I can't agree on the driving dynamics of these cars. I prefer driving the Corolla, he prefers driving the Civic. As mentioned earlier, both cars now have a CVT automatic. And although the Corolla is down on power, I find this CVT is actually more responsive. The one in the Honda is programmed too much for efficiency. While on the topic of the CVT, the new transmission in the Civic has been designed to mimic a traditional automatic so much that there's actual hard gear changes and pauses programmed in. If I'm going to be stuck with a CVT, give me one that behaves the way it's supposed to, smoothly and efficiently. Both cars are very easy to drive and feature highly boosted steering. The smaller steering wheel in the Civic gives the illusion that it's more nimble, but they both handle about the same. Neither car is all that sporty, and they're like a drive-by body piercing. They're efficient, but not fun. That said, these cars are easy to drive, and they're designed for a general consumer to get in and have no problems operating. And as always, the Corolla excels at that task.
The seating position and ergonomics are just better in the Civic than the Corolla. I'm sorry. I can reach every button on the center stack without having to take my back away from the seat, and to me that's a big deal. I can't do it in the Toyota. In fact, in general, I find that the Civic is a more hospitable place to sit. The sight lines are better, and that's because of where Honda decided to put the side view mirrors. As a result, you get this extra glass panel, and the A-pillar looks more thin and less imposing. You can see out a little bit better, and especially in tighter driving conditions, to me that makes all the difference. Now, just like I said when we were reviewing the coupe version of the 2014 Civic, I love how Honda puts a small steering wheel in here. For comparison's sake, if I'm turning right now, I don't have to move my hands very much, but these cars are both probably equal in terms of sportiness. That is to say, they're not sporty at all, but by putting a smaller steering wheel in, Honda is inevitably building in a little bit more of a responsive feel. Now, interestingly, Honda decided to reserve paddle shifters for the coupe model, so I actually don't have them here on the steering wheel. As you can probably guess, Mike does have paddles, but that also raises a question because, as we said before, these are both CVTs. So why? Why do you need paddle shifters? The transmission doesn't shift. It's a continuously variable transmission. But what's really important here isn't sporty dynamics, it's fuel economy. And like we said before, these two cars are getting exactly the same miles per gallon on average. But remember, I have more horsepower than the Corolla.
So in the end, the Corolla takes the win once again.
Oh wait, what? That's supposed to be my line. The Civic is obviously better.
How can the Civic win? It's more expensive, it's smaller inside, and it's got complicated technology.
Okay, I don't know about complicated. I don't think that's fair at all. But for me, the Civic has more power, it's more fun to drive, and it gets the same fuel economy.
All right, I guess we can agree to disagree. It really comes down to personal taste, which vehicle you prefer. But the one thing that's for sure is the small gap that used to exist between these two cars last year is no longer there.